Guys, I'm almost here with another YouTube video on New World, and I am super excited to bring to you guys our first lore. I'm kind of excited to see where this kind of goes. I do love the lore in the game, and bringing the lore, a lot of people don't want to, I guess, play the game as far as sitting there and having to read the lore pages. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of bring you the overview of different areas and different sections of the lore. Where I'm pretty much doing like an episode on like an elite island. We'll do an episode on like the Windsward town or a farm. We're going to do kind of break it up in areas where the lore kind of stays together. And we're going to try to pick out clues of what we might see in the future, as well as bosses, expeditions, that kind of stuff. So that's pretty much what this episode and series is going to be. Don't forget to drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell so new episodes do come out and when we do go live. So let's jump right in to some New World stories of Aeternum. All right, so for our first kind of lore we're going to really look into is going to be the Havelock's diary. This is probably one of my favorite sets of lore. It is found on the elite island, what we call it here in Brightwood. Right in the middle of the map, you see here we have this giant island right here in the middle. This is where this is going to be. This is actually about a alchemist who was trying to fight off the blight. And the first one is just pretty much being like, hey, we've heard more like rumors from the north that the corrupted are massing in greater numbers, that it's infecting, as well as the blight, and we're trying to, I guess, essentially understand them, believe the secret to stopping the foul tide as the red sickness that afflicts them. So he's trying to find a cure for this and trying to find some sort of stop to this to see if he can stop it using alchemy. So the second page is basically him and his wife and his son Genevieve. I'm not 100% sure how to say her first name. And little Simon, his son, support his efforts to go to Brightwood Lake, where this island is, to seek shelter, cut off anything from the outside worlds to protect him from the blight and the corrupted, as well as to do his testing on this. Pretty much that he's heard rumors that the lake in the island was safe, and this way that he can stay out of any sort of company or faction's way. So basically, it's just a safe haven for him and his family. And this is kind of the point he wanted to go here, to be safe and to stay away from all of the corrupted and blight that's happening so that he can do his experiments. The third page here is basically just saying that the island is beautiful. He does have cages there, so this will soon be shipped there. Imagine the cages not doing well in the settlement. The settlement would be doing very little good for the settlement. Apparently the criminals that they were used to cage were just going to fight this conflict in the north with the corrupted, so they weren't needing the cages that much, so he decided to buy them and ship them to the island. He also talks about in the very last part of this page that his wife does believe that the corrupted and the withered may be some sort of connection to them, and that he's going to try to find that out as well. This next page just basically is someone named Maddie, who used to be a captain, who doesn't like the title captain anymore because of the crew that she lost when landing on the shores of Aeternum. Comes to her door with a letter from the magistrate telling that Mr. Havelock that they need to accept Maddie into helping their efforts. Maddie was a little suspicious of the alchemical equipment and most of all the cages, which alarmed her greatly. What manner of the beasts were they to hold, she asked. Not hold, but what manner of beasts we may save. Because Mr. Havelock, again, is going to research on how to save this people from the blight or the corrupted and do experiments to see which ones are connected and which ones are not. This next part is pretty much just being as you suspected. There's a plenty of withered around. Maddie goes out and hunts them, brings them back, cages them up, and he does his experiments on them. That's pretty much just this next page. He just doesn't want to tell his family exactly what's going on. He wants to make sure that they know not to stray far from the island and to stay away from certain parts of it where he's doing experiments so they don't get exposed to the blight or the corrupted. This next part is pretty much that the scientist has had a breakthrough. He has made a concoction with the help of Maddie, who has done an exceptional well of pretty much doing everything. She looks like she barely tires, and she comes and the cages remain full for his experiments. However, his family does stop calling him for meals, stop calling him to go to sleep, and essentially is just kind of letting him do his thing, because they do support him in trying to find this cure for this blight or corruption in the best way possible. He has passed along the mixture to the magistrate that has sent it to the soldiers on the battlefield to the north. So hopefully that this kind of concoction does retain the corruption, which it does seem to be doing, due to whatever he is doing with his alchemy. And so he has kept his own recipe though, just so he could use it in the future. He says it is not a cure, but it does hold it off a little bit. So it's not a full victory. It's just a half victory, which is not enough for him. He needs to find out how to cure it. We must drive it out completely, and I will be the one to make it happen. He is driven to prove that he can do this. So he may be onto something. There is plenty of different lore sections in this game that shows that they may have a way to stop this. So I'm curious to see if some of these get tied together into a final solution in the end. So this next part is pretty much that it seems like his family actually turned against him and didn't want to help him anymore or support him in his endeavors. So Maddie has actually taken her side and stopped getting withered for his experiments. Pretty much saying that he has become too narrowed onto this one thing and essentially stopped thinking about everything else, such as his family and everything, because they were suffering and just not doing well. He then says that he doesn't need her services any longer. If she feels my work is done, then her work is done as well. There is no reason for us to speak again. She left without a word. Good riddance, I say. So pretty much this next piece is just he saw what Maddie did in her techniques, and he's gonna go try to catch the withered now because his cages are empty. He still needs those. He still needs the people in the cages to do the experiments on. So he is now trying to fill those cages and get more experiments for him. So pretty much this page is just basically he got 2 more captures successfully. However, they seem to be from the southern settlement of Everfall, or some sort of town down below that used to be a town. And essentially the corruption has reached this far south, which he cannot explain how quickly he's gotten there. However, these ones do seem to have unusual strength, and he's not going to allow it. He's essentially going to just dissect them and figure out what's going on with the inside, because apparently they smell kind of rotten like a corpse, but also the mixture of a flower. So kind of weird, but he is still at work, still trying to figure out what's next. This next section, he labored long into the night and awoke to screams. I made an error in my methods. My family has paid the price. Both withered I caught died upon the table, yet I see my mistake now. When I had taken the second withered from the pen, I did not lock the gate. And when they arose again hours later, they found the cage unlocked. They then found Genevieve. They found Simon. The first beast was still skulking outside the house. All I could see was red. I planted a hatchet in its skull and turned it to ash. The second one soon followed. But as their corpse vanished, the corpses of my wife and my son, they remained. So his family unfortunately died due to him being, I guess, careless and not locking up the pen where they were keeping the withered, and unfortunately got out to his wife and son. So come full circle, he went to this place to keep them safe, ended up being careless, and the blight or the withered actually killed his family. So this one, pretty much he finished burying them. He forgot to say farewell, but I do not think I will. We no longer talked in life just because he had been so separated from his family. He said he thinks that they wanted to leave the place anyways. I mean, we did see in the page before, Maddie took their side that they weren't going to support him anymore. Afterwards, he returns to the workshop, put down my thoughts. They were clear in my mind. I failed them, yes, but I did not die by my hands, and I will not fail others. No other family will be lost to the corrupted. All we sought on this isle shall not be lost to them, and unfortunately that has become the case. But this tragedy only renews his purpose. This kind of pushes him more to find out what's causing this and how to fix it. This pretty much next thing is just that there's a few visitors that spoke with him saying that the Great Cleave has been completely abandoned. Just a couple outposts, and this rest is basically just corrupted. Settlers around him are just at each other's throats, fighting over Azoth, and the withered seem to know my approach but do not run, as if it is a simple cycle of their day. It's almost like they know what he's doing, and he says that they almost feel aware of this and not being hostile towards him because of this. At last, a breakthrough, only I know of it. The latest formula works, I am certain of it, but without a subject, the only one who may test its properties is myself. But if that is what is required, then so be it. I write now of my symptoms, yet I feel it may prove useless. Pretty much saying he's not going to suffer the corruption. I have ended my own life. I feel it. My blood seems to flow to unfelt corners of my body, and I can feel the rupturing of every blood vessel I can see with my eyes, bleeding red in my reflection in the lake's waters. He's saying he pretty much has no recollection of crawling to the lake shore, or if he's imagining it, he's kind of just going crazy at this point. He will not surrender. This is his home. This is where my family died. I shall not die here with them. My work will live on. I will live on. And he dies. Unfortunately, a little bit of a spoiler. He is one of the bosses on this island. So you do have to go there and you actually have to kill him. And he is actually a banshee. So he has become his concoction did work, just not in the way he expected. However, it did kill the blight because he becomes a sad banshee. Very, very hard boss to fight. This area is really, really intense. This is probably my favorite lore in the game so far that I've really focused on. There's like 12 pages on this island. Super fun island to fight. It's an elite island, so you get lots of good loot, as well as some great lore. So, guys, go check out this area if you guys haven't already. It is super, super fun. So thank you guys for following my first episode on the stories of Aeternum and the Tales of Brightwood, which is where we're going to start off, just because this is my favorite one to go to so far. And we're going to go ahead and visit some others. We'll probably do a couple of other starter areas next, but this one was my favorite, so I wanted to bring you guys my favorite one first, just because it's such a great story and it's very unique. And it's kind of cool to see that there are people trying to figure out how to stop this and if they were successful or not. We do know a couple other areas that have found a way to either off the island or to stop the corrupted, but were never successful in executing it. Now, does this mean down the line that we may see something in the story where people are actually having something that works, and maybe we push back the corrupted enough, or maybe they push us back and they become more resilient against this effectiveness? But there you guys go. Hope you guys drop a like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thank you guys so much for joining. Have a great day. Goodbye. Deuces.